And so it's not a very pleasant future for humanity. But this is something that I don't think people are really prepared for. Yes, I understand there will be a multipolar world, and that is in the midterm. But in the long term, we have to worry about the very survival of humanity itself. I think people will be surprised by how resilient the Germans and the Japanese are. I think in the mid-term, North America, Moscow, Israel will be very dominant. But over time, I think people will be surprised by the resurgence of the Germans and the Japanese. The Germans are headed towards military humiliation in Ukraine. They can't possibly beat the Russians in Ukraine, but it may be in the long term good for Germany. Because then, after this loss, the Germans may be able to rediscover their national identity, their heritage, and build a stronger nation out of this collapse. The Japanese have been the most resilient people in human history. I mean, the things they've been able to accomplish as a very small nation are just incredible. So you go back to the 13th century when the Mongols invaded Japan twice. And the Japanese, which was at this time a feudal society, broken up into like different kingdoms, warring against each other, they unified as a people to repel this invasion from, at that time, the greatest empire in the world. Then you go to the 19th century when China was being carved up by the Western powers. And it seemed as though Japan was going to be carved up as well. But then Japan started something called the Meiji Restoration, and they started to industrialize. And then in like 30, 40 years, they defeated Russia in a war. And that was unimaginable to people at that time. Go back to 1945. America was firebombing Japan, destroying all of Japan's infrastructure, industry. Millions of people were burning to death. America dropped two nuclear bombs on Japan. World War II, within a generation, they became the most dominant manufacturing power in the world. So, if you look at East Asia, it's in a lot of trouble. But never ever bet against the Japanese. All right, so let's differentiate between Greater Israel Project and Pax Judaica. Okay, so Greater Israel Project is the idea that Israel needs to achieve the Promised Land, which they believe is what Yahweh promised to their ancestor Abraham. And this Promised Land, if you look at a map, extends from the Nile in Egypt to the Euphrates in Iraq. It also includes parts of Anatolia, Turkey, as well as parts of Saudi Arabia. And so you can make the argument that what Israel wants to achieve in this war is the Greater Israel Project, meaning that it wants to extend this war as much as possible to drag in as many players as possible, including Turkey, including Saudi Arabia. Because if they're destroying this war, then it's just easier for Israel to achieve the Greater Israel Project.